a conductive wire, and you were so electric. I had no say when you came so near, and just passed right through me.
Previously on Welcome to Geekdom, we discussed the first 3 seasons of Lost. If you ask me what happened, I probably don't remember at this point because who pays attention to what happens in what season? But today, I am joined by Nick Ball, Shane Connard, and Becky Rice to discuss Season 4. We are in the back half of this series, everyone. Nick, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's another episode of you guys explaining what's happening, and I go, "Oh, did that happen in that season?" and then you tell me yes, and I say, "That's a very good show."
You know what? It's worked for us so far, so we just have to keep it going. Shane, how are you doing?
I am doing well. It is another episode of me being told things that I just watched last week.
Yep, that sounds about right.
And then I say, yes, that did happen, didn't it?
Becky, you have functioning internet now, so you are able to join us for Season 4. Are you excited?
I am excited to be back. I am also excited for another episode of texting Nick and Shane while we're recording this without you being involved so that I don't accidentally talk about Season 6.
Have we talked about that? Sometimes you get awfully close to what's upcoming and we all text on the side.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you've known that, like Deanna, but like that's definitely a thing that happens.
I figured.
Like while we're recording, like we'll be like, "Oh my gosh, that was so close," or like the freaking boat thing.
Oh yeah, there was one episode where we kept making boat puns and texting each other about it before we got onto the boat for Season 4.
That was the first episode, yeah. I wasn't here to talk about Season 3. Can we talk about the last episodes of Season 3? Which I feel like is fine because that will feed into
absolutely.
Here. Can we revisit that?
Don't ask me to remember what it was.
Shut the redacted up.
Deanna, we gotta go back.
We have to go
back.
I can't believe that you don't. Are you kidding me? And like his shoe. Wait, is the shoe in that one, or is that a different thing? It's that one, right? Is that later? I don't know. Anyway,
no, it's that same. It's like I can't remember if it's in the actual last hour of the show or the hour previous, but yes.
I remember the Jack and Kate thing, but she said last few episodes, so that timeline's off.
Well, like last 2, right? Isn't it a 2-part episode?
Yeah, and you were mentioning the shoe, which is Charlie's death.
Whoa.
you make
that
me
wasn't
feel
a spoiler.
Spoiler. It was last.
Yeah, that was. In case anybody's just tuning into this podcast for Season 4 and only Season 4, Charlie dies.
I wept. I still weep when I think about that. Like, I am not fucking kidding. Like, it messes me up.
But they told you it was going to happen like 20 times, Becky.
They've told me all kinds of stuff might happen. There's been all kinds of fucking predictions. Also, I guarantee you, if somebody told me 20 times that Nick was going to die and then Nick actually died, I would cry. And I think that you're a bad friend for saying that you wouldn't cry because you already knew about it.
I've got horrible news for you. I am going to die at some point.
I know. And sometimes I think about that while I'm brushing my teeth and I just start crying. I'm like, oh my God, Nick's going to die one day. I also like Shane and Deanna. Sorry, everybody who's listening to this podcast. They're also my friends, but
I'm not going to die, so it doesn't really matter.
But
That's right. I am the only mortal one out of all 4 of us, anyway. Yeah, the fact that Greatest Hits is not the episode where it happens is.
Yeah.
I'm talking about how emotional that series of episodes makes me again, even though that was the thesis of last episode. So I will let Becky talk.
There were so many times where we thought that was going to happen and then it didn't because you knew, but then it just kept not happening. And so I was like, maybe it's never actually going to happen. And then when it did, it really got me. But then also just everything, the way that it happens, it's really sad. It's It's not Penny's boat.
It was not.
Becky, I promise that if I ever die, I'll see you in another life, brother. Deanna, can you put that over all 4 channels so it's loud and echoey?
Can you quadruple his vocals?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll get right on that.
This has nothing to do with Lost, but I really like when things are recorded and people double their vocals.
Okay, Becky, real quick. How did you feel about the flash forward?
Oh, I thought you were asking me how I felt about The Flash. And I was like, well, I'm a fan of the comics and a fan of Ezra Miller.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Flash Forward, the ABC TV series from 2009, which, of course, I did watch and really enjoy. No? Nobody else? All right.
No.
Dominic Monaghan was in it.
Oh. What does that make me think of? It makes me think of something else. Oh, Fringe.
Charlie's dad.
That's not the same as that at all. Wait, there's a flash forward at the end of season 3?
Yeah, it's Jack and Kate on the bridge. It's the we gotta go. It's we
At the airport.
We gotta go back.
You think that it's a previous Jack spiral, and then the reveal is
then the
him on the
reveal is at
bridge.
the end.
Yeah, and Kate is there, and he says we got to go back. Yeah.
Okay, I do remember that now. So I have now fallen into the same camp as Nicholas, where I have not been rewatching these episodes because I've been really busy, so my memory's a little blurry. I remember when I watched it for the first time, though, I remember being like very taken aback or like surprised. And then when I watched it the second time, I was like, I guess because I knew it was going to happen, but I was just like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But when I watched it the first time, I remember like throwing my hands in the air and being like, what? What is happening? Where are they?
See, I was a little annoyed because I knew how much it was going to bounce back and forth between timelines, having an additional timeline now. And there's a lot of that in season 4.
Yeah, you texted us immediately when you watched the season 3 finale, and you were like, "Oh no, it's going to be too many timelines." And I think we all just kept our mouth shut about that.
I mean, I was correct. There are too many timelines, but before we dive into jumping around from timeline to timeline, I do want to talk about the new characters because we have 4 characters who play major, semi-major roles in Dan, Miles, Charlotte, and Frank Lapidus, who we all love, I think. And then you also have, the other boat crew members who kind of don't really matter in the end because of reasons we will also get to. But then there was a character introduced in the flashbacks, and her name was Harper. And I did not like her.
That was my comment. Pass.
I'm furiously Googling to remember who the hell this is.
She's like the therapist on the island.
She's like the Apollo and whoever the hell else that person was of season 4.
And she was married to Goodwin. But basically, she finds out that Juliet has been sleeping with her husband, and that's the entire storyline.
I hate when a character exists just to like drive a thing like
an
that
affair.
Forward. And then, yeah, like this person literally only exists so that an affair can exist. Like she plays literally no other role than like to be married, to exist and be married to a man. And like I hate that. I think that's really lazy writing.
To be the scorned lover.
Yeah, like, I don't know, let her do something.
Or wife,
like,
I suppose, is better.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Let her have like a personality and stuff. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's really lazy writing. It's a very throwaway character. I don't like that. Time to move on to the next thing. I like Miles. I want to talk about season 6.
Wait, I want to go back to Harper.
You might have to wait a little bit, Becky. Nick, are you okay? Are you broken?
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. Okay. Because I also have, like, when I was reading the notes and I was looking at the characters introduced in this season, I also went, oh, Miles is here. Can't talk about that till season 6.
I want us to be talking about the same thing.
Oh, we are.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Have
Yeah.
we talked about this between the?
I'm
have we talked
also
about,
aware.
Briefly.
Okay. Oh, Shane, I think I've had this conversation with you too, but like not with the three of you. There's two of you, but
I definitely
math
did
is
not have the
hard.
conversation with you, Becky, if that helps.
No, I knew it wasn't you, but I was thinking like, oh yeah, me and Shane and Nick, me and the three of them, but like there's three of us total. I have had a beverage, and this podcast is sponsored by Adult Beverages.
Adult beverages, have one if you're of age.
Well, Nick, you seem to really like Miles as well. So do we want to talk about what Miles' role is as part of this group that comes to the island?
He's sassy.
Yeah, I mean he's the comic relief. It's a weird. I think it fits weirdly in season 4, and I don't really have a lot of thoughts on it in season 4. I think it feels shoehorned. It feels weird to me,
Okay.
and then it really works in later seasons for me.
Yeah, having already watched through season 5, I agree that in season 4, Miles is kind of just there, and we don't really get a purpose from him until season 5 and what I imagine will happen in season 6.
Can you tell me what we know about Miles in season 4?
So in season 4, he comes to the island with this group of people, and they're basically hunting Ben. That is their sole purpose. And I think we do get a little bit about his background, that he's kind of different than the others. He's not a scientist. He's not the pilot. He's just kind of different. And I'm blanking a little on how much we get of his backstory, because we get a lot more of it in season 5 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But he does try to blackmail Ben in this season.
Yeah, I feel like season 4 is really just like, I'm snarky, I'm a hothead, and there's not really a whole lot to that. And I was like, cool, like we have another guy who's trying to prove that he's an asshole. Great,
Yep.
Love that.
Yeah, I think in season 4, you're not sure what he's contributing to the team, and he's not the biggest asshole
Correct.
of the boat people.
Yep.
Not to steal. Yeah, you're not sure. I at least am not sure what he's contributing in season 4 that much, but I'm glad that they go where they do with him.
Yeah. Shane, do you have any opinions on Miles?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way about most of the new crew, where you get, let's say, 3 between Charlotte, Faraday, and Miles, where 3 characters where all of them seem to have this collective secret, even if they're not all on the same page. Although it seems like Charlotte and Faraday are on the same page, but whatever. So yeah, I guess like complicating Miles' character by showing that he's like not necessarily a part of the group, and he's there for, what's is seemingly his own reasons. And then you find out that he is there for his own reasons as he tries to extort Ben for lots of money.
Yeah. Can we quickly talk about the fact that there is a character named Daniel Faraday on here?
Hell, yeah, we can.
Because as soon as I heard that name, I was like, oh, Faraday cage. Okay. That's like instantly where my mind went.
Yeah, this is about the amount of subtlety that we had with the Christian Shepherd name.
Yeah.
Like we've got one scientist and we named him Faraday.
Yep.
That's unfair. They have many scientists, including Juliet. But yeah, it felt like that level of name.
I'm going to be very honest with you guys and tell you that like that meant nothing to me when I watched this show for the first time.
Okay. I think that's fair though. It's not like a Faraday cage is something everyone has.
Yeah, like now that like after realizing how big like so many people's names were, I feel like I just like Googled like everyone in the show's name just to like check. But as the show was coming out, it was definitely more of the like literary names, like philosopher names that I noticed and that stuck with me. And Faraday, it just right over my head on the first watch. And I think that that's true for most people.
Yeah.
Does it really tell you anything other than like he's a dark-headed, lanky science boy? Like I don't know. Does the name actually give away anything other than that?
No, but I guess not much more than it tells you about John Locke, that his name is John Locke. It's mostly that. But yeah,
And that he changes it to Bentham.
much
Just
like
all
Shane, he
obvious
changes his name
names.
to Bentham. But yeah, just want to mention it. On top of Faraday cages, you've got in science, you got the Faraday Constant, and you have the Farad, which is a unit used in electricity.
Sorry, Nicholas, you have a Faraday what?
Faraday Constant is a number used in some sort of electrical equations, I think. I got away from that in school as soon as I could. And a farad is a unit also used in electricity.
I just wanted you to say constant again. That was
it.
it.
Oh, God damn it. I thought I was crackling. I'm sorry, Deanna. Can I curse on this thing?
Yes.
Can I chirp?
No.
Can I slurp?
Slurp a chirp.
Ay.
This is just going to be riddled with inside jokes that no one understands.
And, Charlotte doesn't have a specific last name that really stands out, but her last name is Lewis. And, there have been, I think,
Lewis Carroll.
See, I was thinking of the explorer, Meriwether Lewis.
Oh, yep. That one makes way more sense.
I didn't know the person's first name was Meriwether, but I was like, there was an explorer with the last name Lewis. So I thought it was that.
What was the other guy's name?
Clark. I played, this is not related to Lost at all, but I played Meriwether Lewis in my 5th grade play, so.
I'm sure it was excellent, Shane.
I was really good.
Does the name Frank Levitis mean anything?
The name Frank Levitis means a great character and our friend.
Zetus
we love
Levitis.
Frank Levitis.
We do.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was some name I should recognize, because it doesn't seem like a very common name.
Apparently means headstones.
Okay.
Yeah. Spanish for headstones.
But Frank is the pilot. He's a very good pilot, despite the fact that he kind of looks like he's just drunk all the time.
He's got Big Lebowski energy for sure.
Oh, yes, for sure.
But he's also the one member in the group who is just kind of like, look, I'm here to fly a helicopter. That's it.
Is he wearing a Hawaiian shirt a lot on the island, or is that just how I remember him in my head?
It seemed like he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
I would have actually preferred it if all of us had been like, what? No. And this is just something that Nick made up about this character because he hasn't seen the show in a little bit.
It's just because I've seen the people who look exactly like this guy at tiki bars around LA.
Nick loves a good tiki bar.
That seems to track all of it. Are there any characters I'm missing from the new group?
We didn't really talk about Charlotte, but she's flat, pretty flat character in my opinion.
Yeah, she doesn't really have a lot to do ever.
Nope.
I mean, you do have Martin Keamy, who is on the boat as well, and
yeah, I wasn't sure if we were including boat people in
yeah, there's so many, but
Mm-hmm.
I think him and the captain are probably the two that are in it most, and then you have Minkowski.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I think a lot of people on the boat are just background characters, aside from
Filler.
aside from Michael, who is going by Kevin Johnson.
Just want to mention Herman Minkowski is a German mathematician, former student of Albert Einstein.
Okay,
Something like that.
Look at that.
That
Math
is good to know.
boy.
He's got some sort of thing to do with space-time in my memory. I don't know what it is. Just want
Yeah.
to say that's a name just like all the others that's chosen for some reason that should be better explained, but isn't.
There are quite a few things on this show that aren't explained as well as I wish they were.
If it's space-time, he's involved in the whole constant thing, so that's kind of something.
Yeah. I wish I had more to say about the boat because I would like to have been able to be like, oh, I love when the boat is a character.
The boat is the 5th character in Lost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Owned by Penny's father. I think that is the important information that we get about the boat.
Can we go back to Charlotte for a second? I just want to finish my Charlotte notes.
Yes,
Oh,
please.
yeah.
I actually have another note on Charlotte as well.
Okay, yeah. This one I I had one that I knew and one that I just found out. The one that I knew is that Kristen Bell declined that role.
Huh.
She was, yeah. And then the other thing is that apparently Charlotte's middle name is Staples, which means that she is C.S. Lewis. So it wasn't Mary. It's C.S. Lewis.
That's fun.
And apparently the producer, Lindelof, said that was a clue as to the direction that the show was about to take during during season 4, which totally makes sense that we,
So are we feeling like this is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe or something? I mean...
Yes, Martin Keamy is the lion. Ben is the witch hiding in the wardrobe. Something like that. I don't know.
Something else.
And Bud is the wardrobe.
Close enough.
And Jacob is Oz. That was a bit. That was a joke.
Oh, who's the half goat guy?
Miles.
Miles. What's his name?
Is it just Pan?
I thought that was that Shakespeare thing.
Tumnus, I'm sorry.
Tumnus! Pan is Midsummer Night's Dream. Also, that one season of The Real World. No, that's Puck. I'm actually thinking about Puck in both instances of what I just said. Maybe this podcast is like a PSA for why you shouldn't consume adult beverages.
Deanna, is this a good app?
I'm a little lost. So my last note on Charlotte is that she's kind of just used as a pawn in this season because Saeed is basically like, I'm going to trade Charlotte for Miles, and that's going to be her purpose. But aside from Charlotte not being used very well as a new character, it seems like they don't know what to do with the new women in the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's 2, and they're both bad.
I feel like that's the constant they've had since season 2 is you get Ana Lucia, you get Libby, you get Juliet, and although Juliet grows, her first few episodes are a lot like the Ana Lucia episode.
Yep.
Yeah, this show struggles with that, I think.
I think every woman that's on this show, like, it takes them a while to figure out like what exactly they're doing with this character.
I think Sun is the MVP, though.
Oh, 100% like the best written female character like on this show.
Sorry, Nick.
No, I agree that's correct. As always, we're leaving Kate out of the equation. We don't have to talk about it. We all love her. Where is Claire in this season?
Yeah, Shane, give us a Claire update.
In my thoughts, Claire's essentially like just been, I don't know.
After Charlie's death, they like didn't know what to do with her.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like Aaron's already around, Charlie's dead. We forgot what we were supposed to do with Claire at this point.
Which is so frustrating because Charlie is like glomming on to Claire's storyline as far as the present timeline goes in the first few seasons.
Yeah.
Like he's inserting himself into there and then he's gone and they don't know what to do with her.
Yeah. I don't know if this is in season 4 or season 5, but I feel like the only purpose they give Claire, like at some point somebody was like, oh my God, we forgot about Claire. And they were just like, well, like, what if we made her Jack's like half sibling?
They do touch on that a little more in this season because we kind of get more of Christian popping up around the island.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
And then Claire just like ditches her baby.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm doing the same thing Shane's doing. Is this where we're getting Claire off into the woods
with Christian in the cabin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm pretty sure all of that happens this season anyway.
Well, because once we get to the flash forward, yes, we know that there is some sort of separation happening.
Right, because Christian's funeral in the flash forwards is when Jack finally learns about Claire from Claire's mother, who was kind of left in limbo until that moment. Because I'm pretty sure the last time we had seen Claire's mother, she was like in a coma or something from the accident.
Claire's mother?
Yeah, from the car crash. Shane, did you forget?
Oh my God, I did.
I was like, am I watching the same show as the rest of you guys right now?
Holy crap. I totally forgot about that happening. And how this is like my third time watching that season. And that has never once occurred to me that I just forgot about that scene. No, I didn't. Yeah, I did.
And that's kind of the extent of Claire's storyline in this. And the fact that it's like, oh, let's have the mother just abandon her child after she has decided she wants to care for the child after all, because she had no choice really. And obviously with everyone else on the island, she had some help, but it just felt like a very strange move, and it doesn't really fully play out in season 5. So I'm kind of wondering how that wraps up, if it even does.
You give us these open-ended things and we all shut up because we don't want to say anything about it.
Yeah, me being silent is the equivalent of when I text the like eyes emoji in the chat.
Too bad I can't insert those in the podcast.
Oh, I wish, because yeah.
I feel like you get the introduction, you start hearing about the what do they call them? The Oceanic 8, right?
6.
Is that how they refer to them? 6 is what I meant. Yeah, there's 6 of them, and that's what I meant. Is that there's 6 of them, and you have to kind of figure out who the 6 are because you don't necessarily find out till the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I was kind of like, well, does the kid count because he's a kid? Like, I was like, are they counting a child, or do they mean there were like 6 adults who can actually speak for themselves?
Can we start talking about those flash forwards and the evolution of that and the reveals?
Please.
Yes, let's do
Yeah.
that.
I'm not the host.
So I think the idea is introduced, and we immediately know that Jack and Kate are the first two because we've seen them in the end of season 3.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they give us Hurley after that.
Right, Hurley, and then you get hints of Kate saying that somebody is that she's either taking care of or with is back at the place or something. And then what's the order of the next reveals? I feel like we get Sun pretty soon after that.
We get Hurley's car chase,
Right, yes.
I think, and Jack visiting him and that stuff. And then we get Saeed as, the assassin going down and crossing names off a list.
And being, those are so badass.
'Cause that's episode 3.
And then we get Sun.
I think they leave Sun for last because you don't know who the last one's going to be, and you're like, well, we still have Sun and Jean and Claire and
Yeah, no, because what we get Sun, I think at least with 1 or 2 left, and you're assuming it's Jin, and then we get to my favorite episode of the season and maybe my favorite episode of the series, the one where Sun is giving birth and Jin is racing to the hospital with a toy. And then the reveal that they're 2 different timelines because the Jin storyline is from before he's met Sun.
Yeah.
And the Sun storyline is after she's rescued. And then I believe it's that episode where then it like ends at Jin's grave, right?
Her and Hurley go to visit the grave.
Oh my God. It's so good.
That episode is so good.
yeah, it's so good.
I want to say that's like episode 7. Like, so it's like the solid like halfway point in the season because at this point like the seasons are shorter.
Right.
But yeah, dude, every Jin and Sun episode of this show, I think like if you had to choose a character, I know that they're 2 separate characters, but their episodes tend to be like aligned usually. If I had to pick a character that I think like their episodes that are focused solely on like them and their story are the best of the show, I think it would be very easy for me to say that, in my opinion, that's Sun and Jin.
And it plays on your expectations of that because every time you've got a Sun and Jin episode, it's a Sun and Jin episode, and then this one is the same, and then it gives you that reveal, which I think is even better than the end of season 3 reveal. Like, I don't know. I don't know. The split thing kind of blew my mind the first time.
It's a really good reveal because you're like, oh, come on. Are you serious?
I want to rewatch that episode specifically now because I haven't really had time to rewatch a lot of this season. So I think I'm going to revisit like specific episodes.
Speaking of specific episodes, The Constant is another one that I think deserves a little segment on this episode because
just a little.
I remember I was texting Lost Chat and I was like, oh, this is happening. And I think, Nick, it was you. You were like, are you on the Constant?
Well, it was. I think the reason I was noticeably upset with your reaction to the end of season 3 with the timeline stuff is because both that episode, that Sun and Jin episode, and The Constant were coming up, which are 2 of the best episodes of the series, in my opinion.
Yes, but The Constant has Desmond, so it's instantly better than the end of season 3.
I thought you were about to finish that sentence, and then I realized that was just
Same.
informative.
Sorry, I'll finish the sentence. Aye, brother.
I got it, Nick. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, so Deanna, what you said was time doesn't matter. Season 4 is wild. And Nick's response was, "Did you just watch The Constant?" But with no question mark. It was like a sentence. And then I said, I just started crying. Like I wasn't even watching it. You mentioned that you watched the episode, and I just started like weeping. This is hands down one of my favorite episodes of television ever. Also, once somebody sent me a Lost themed Valentine that references The Constant, and I did a big ol' swoon. I love this episode. I love this show. I love Desmond, which is wild. If you know anything about me being like I love Desmond is like really off brand, but like I do.
Because he's not vegan and he doesn't write sad songs.
I don't know if
Those
he
are
likes
the only
sports.
2 things I know.
He doesn't have dark swoopy hair. Oh, okay. That is first off, Shane. That is a lie. Those are not the only 2 things that you know.
He's a huge Baltimore Ravens fan.
Fucking hate the Ravens.
I
don't want anybody to accidentally hear
Everybody
this and
hears
think
that.
that like I like the Ravens at all. Like, fuck that team.
The only
So
birds
far.
we are allowed to like are the Eagles.
Or Shane. Oh.
Whoa, wait, what happened here?
She said the only birds that you're allowed to like, and I said are Shane, and then she said the Eagles, and I was like, well, that's close.
Oh, okay. I'm back up to speed.
Very close.
I relate to both of those things.
But I just thought the way that The Constant was executed, even though it makes the timeline so frantic, it was done so well that you were like, okay, at the end of this, Desmond is going to have some sort of closure in a way. And you get that phone call with him and Penny, and it's just so good.
So good. Also, I feel like every episode that's like Desmond heavy feels like a different television show.
Yes.
I totally agree.
Kind of like the Mr. Echo episodes, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, because like with all of the like, I mean, there's not like a ton of like Desmond episodes, but the ones that are like, they're filmed very differently. Like the dialogue even feels like very different. Thematically, they're very different than the rest of the show.
Yeah.
But not so much so that you feel pulled out. It just feels special. And yeah.
Oof.
And Penny has her name because of like the wife in the Odyssey. So like talk about like being patient and like waiting. Ugh, so good.
A huge Slaughterhouse-5 inspired structure of that episode, but super more, like you said, frantic. Absolutely. It's the whole thing is so charged. It's upsetting when he's strapped on the bed, when all that's going down. It's huge emotional ending. I think I can't remember if I only sent it to the spoiler chat or if I sent it to you after you watched the episode. I've like happened across Lost fans, and like I met some guy who just had, if anything happens, Desmond Hume will be my constant tattooed on his arm. Like this is a huge one.
Yeah.
I think this is like the standout episode in most people's memory, like of this show, for sure. For good reason.
I know I haven't seen season 6 yet, but this is probably easily a top 3 episode so far.
Trust me, you're not getting any top 3 episodes out of season 6.
I didn't think so.
Shane.
What?
I think there are things that will happen in season 6 that you'll go, I want more of that.
Are we sure?
I had to mute myself from talking about that thing.
I want more of that. I want that to be a thing. And we will talk about that thing.
You know what we got more of in season 4 that I did not expect to get more of?
What's that?
Sand.
Michael.
I was going to say Kevin Johnson.
Yep.
Damn it.
We met him.
Way off.
It was a good effort, Becky. Good effort.
I wasn't wrong. I hate sand. Anyway, what were you talking about? Kevin.
He does a pretty good job of just kind of going about his business and not having his eyes light up when he sees people he recognizes.
Right?
And I really appreciated that. They were like, oh, we won't make it blatantly obvious, but all of the viewers will understand what's happening.
So can you remind me the motivations of all this? Because we get the flash forward of terrible, like, bottom of the valley Jack who needs to go back to the island. And in my memory, it's just like, oh yeah, Michael's back. Like, what's the motivation for that?
Okay, so he told Walt that he killed 2 people. And Walt kind of didn't seem to want anything to do with him. And then one of Ben's people found Michael in the alley, or in a alley, and he was like going to blow his brains out. So they basically gave him sort of a way to redeem himself.
I feel like this is the same problem I've been having with Michael since the very beginning. Is just his motivations, his actions don't make sense to me.
Yeah, like why tell Walt that? I mean, I get that he felt guilty, but he had to have known in the back of his mind that that would not go over well. It's kind of like what happens on the island stays on the island. That's how it should be, like the Vegas motto.
Does it show him telling Walt?
No.
I can't remember. Do you think he like broke it down? He's like, hey, you remember Ana Lucia? Wasn't she kind of the worst?
Oh, and then I accidentally shot Libby, who didn't really do anything to deserve it at all whatsoever.
Yeah, me neither. Anyway.
Libby did nothing. Libby just showed up.
She was kind of creeping on Hurley in the mental hospital, but other than that, she didn't do anything wrong.
Huh? We've all had crushes.
We've all had crushes and given Desmond a boat. But yeah, Michael's storyline, I was kind of hoping it would have been a little better, given that they were like, oh, we're going to bring this character back, and nothing on the boat goes very well. Yep, that's it. That's all we have to say about the boat.
I mean, I don't have a ton to say about the boat until the end. I mean, yeah.
Well, let's finish out some of these future storylines, because there is a big moment that we get with Saeed, because he is attending Nadia's funeral. So we basically get all of this information as to how he was reunited with her in a bunch of exposition, really, which I don't think is the best way to give us that information.
I feel like that definitely could have been shown.
It kind of is later.
Rather than told.
But it's for like a few minutes and that's it.
It's weird because I feel like one of the biggest things about this show that really drew me in, especially like in season 1, is that like we're not told things about these characters. We're shown.
Yes.
Right? Like we're not told why Kate is the way that she is. We're shown.
It's not like, oh, Kate killed this dude. It's like, no, we're going to see Kate kill this dude.
Yeah, and like and fully understanding like why and where that came from. And we really get that with like every character. And then about like how I want to say like once we get like to the other side of like season 3, like that kind of it doesn't stop, but like we get a lot more exposition. And yeah, show me, don't tell me.
Yeah.
This is television.
Because it's kind of like the future storylines are like, oh, here's some funerals. Oh, and here's Locke in a casket. And it takes a while for them to show you how some of those things happen. Obviously, we know how Christian died, because that's given to us in season 1. And it finally, gets paid off in season 4. Oh, I will mention too that in the future storyline, Kate sees Claire and Claire gives her this warning to not take Aaron back to the island. So they're obviously like, hey, you know what? Everyone's going to end up going back to the island. We're just going to tell you this right now. They keep telling me things I don't really want to be told.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that the thing that they're successful at, which is the showing you, they're very unsuccessful at the telling when they do decide to tell you.
Yeah.
Even with Locke in a casket, they don't even tell you that Locke's in a cat. They don't really tell you who's in a casket, and then you kind of find out that, maybe Jeremy's in a casket, and then it turns out that Jeremy...
What?
I was actually holding that back because I didn't want to spoil it for Becky.
Fuck.
I think there's still a few major things that we need to get to here.
I've got a big one that I want to talk about.
Is it Penny?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you do yours first then.
I want to talk about Alex Rousseau.
Okay. Tell us more, Nick.
So this is frantically typing to make sure I don't tell you spoilers. So we get Martin Keamy, who's the bad boy of the boat.
Yep.
He's out there hunting Ben Linus, who's holed up in the barracks, and he takes Alex hostage, and there's that very tense negotiating scene, and Ben tells him, what? Kill her, she's not my daughter, I won't care. And they do.
Ooh.
And it's horrible. And yeah.
This made me hate Ben so much more than I already did.
I remember watching that and not thinking that was going to happen.
That's another one. This is like a similar moment to the Charlie almost death by hanging early on. It's like, I know that characters die in this show, and this was shocking.
That death is so important because they do this a couple times, and this is the time that they do it in season 4, where they're just like, all right, we've established like what the rules are, and here's the world in which they live in. And so Ben's like very convinced that like, this is like my world. I know what I'm existing in it. I know how to play this game. And then they kill Alex, and he's like, all right, they changed the rules. The rules have been changed. And he starts blaming Widmore.
I think Ben might just be very bad at poker and calling people's bluffs.
Well, maybe because he wasn't playing poker. Like, he thought he was playing poker there. And I think he would have been fine if they were actually playing poker.
I think if Ben played poker, he would have lost $3.2 million exactly.
That's true.
2 miles.
2 miles.
But yeah, I think that was one of the biggest moments in the season where you're like, okay, we're going to hate both of these characters for this happening, even though, Ben is not the one who pulled the trigger. And we already did not like Ben to begin with.
I think he's great.
Are you sure, Shane?
No.
Before we get to sort of the big moment where they start the cover up, basically, I do want to talk about the future storyline real quick where Jack proposes to Kate. And did the rest of you know right away that that was going to end horribly?
It is such a laughable concept to me that I didn't even remember it happening until you mentioned it right now.
It's just like, did they think this was actually going to happen?
It's so funny because of course Kate Austin is my wife, not Jack's. It doesn't make any sense.
Kate is reserved for Nick and Nick only.
Personally speaking, I can't believe that Matthew Fox did not win anything for that acting. It's incredible.
I hate you so much.
I just felt like we would all need to get that out of our system real quick. The last 2 things I want to talk about are when Penny saves the Oceanic 6 and then they have the press conference. So is there anything any of you want to bring up before we dive into that?
I'm pretty lost talking today because Charlie's dead and I can't really talk about his guitar this episode. So.
True
He
tragedy.
doesn't know what his angle is supposed to be in this season anymore.
It's just ripping on Matthew Fox now.
We just truly do not know what happened to Charlie's guitar this season, and Shane, I understand, is just completely throwing you off.
Again, I don't really know what my angle is here. They just resort to ripping on Matthew Fox.
Yeah, that's okay though. Jack also has a surgery in this season, and he's just like, appendicitis, who cares? But Kate has to hold the mirror, everyone. She has to.
I was about to say, you're right. Who cares?
She holds it so well, guys.
All right. Anything else?
I'm just looking at your very last note there.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, that's literally what I was doing. And I was going to present just because I think we did this in one of the episodes. Deanna, I just want your best educated guess on Richard's deal. We're talking about Richard Alpert. What's his deal?
I just kind of feel like he's going to end up being immortal or something.
Why?
Because the eyeliner doesn't age.
Does that not age, or is the eyeliner the thing that's causing Richard to not age?
The eyeliner is the constant?
I think so.
If anything should happen, Richard's eyeliner will be my constant.
Do you think that there's any correlation between Richard's eyeliner and the smoke monster?
Yes.
Cool.
But yeah, so we have like one past timeline moment that is like way in the past because it happens when John Locke was a boy. He was probably, I don't know, I want to say like 7 or 8. I'm really bad with knowing how old children are based on how tall they are.
Is that the first time he visits John Locke?
No, he's in the hospital when Locke is born, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in this season, that's the only time we see him visiting. And it's basically like he's there to see if John is special enough to go to this special school, basically. It's a very quick scene.
I remember watching that and being like, wait, what?
Doesn't Richard say something along the lines of, like, I feel like the scene ends so abruptly. Like, Richard's just like, you're not who I thought you're not who we thought.
And then he
you were."
leaves and it's done. Yeah,
then he just
it's
leaves.
very
Yeah, and then he
strange.
just leaves.
Is it like one of those tropey scenes where he makes him pick something like the? Am I remembering that wrong? It's like the where they make the kid pick an artifact from the Dalai Lama to see if he's the new Dalai Lama or something like that.
There's a knife involved in the scene, and I think Richard says something along the lines, "Is that yours?"
Because he picks something and then Richard gets like really upset, right, and just abruptly leaves. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, Richard's just like, "Oh, never mind," and leaves.
Yeah, so it's like he thinks that this is somebody very important and it has something to do with either a previous life or a previous memory or something like that, and he's there to test him.
Yeah, it was one of those things that was like, this was kind of oddly placed, but then again, everything from John's past is very bizarre, to say the least.
Yep.
But that leads us to the last thing I want to discuss, which is how we come to have the Oceanic 6 in the future timeline, which is they crashed the helicopter. Well, let me backtrack. The boat goes boom. Jin is still on the boat,
Oh.
as is Michael. And the helicopter is flying away. You have Sawyer bailing because it's too heavy and, or he bails before it gets to the boat. And after it leaves the boat, there are bullet holes in it. So it's like just leaking fuel still. And they end up crashing in the water. They have the life raft and they're kind of just floating along and they see lights from a boat. And lo and behold, this is, in fact, Penny's boat.
Sure is.
But the other one was definitely not.
Nope, that go boom.
Which kind of feels like they're hinting at Penny and her father's relationship, too. Goes boom.
Goes boom.
They don't get along. So what did we think of this reunion for Desmond and Penny?
I was just going to say, I was actually kind of bummed out because it felt like once Desmond and Penny met back up, I was like, oh man, we're probably going to get less of Desmond now, which isn't a fair emotion, but that's the emotion I had.
I like when people love each other and they're separated, but then they get to see each other again.
Love.
I love love.
I can't remember if the line is in this episode or in the Constant, but a big thing I do to annoy my partner is yell in a Scottish accent, Penny, I've always loved you.
One more time.
Penny, I've always loved you.
That's fantastic, Nick. Fantastic. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I'm glad somebody finally appreciates it.
Man, they should have given you all those awards instead of Matthew Fox.
Yeah, all
True.
those Emmys.
True.
All those Emmys.
I do want to note that Levitis kind of just flies under the radar after this moment because he's not part of the Six since he was never on the flight to begin with. And him and Desmond just kind of go about their lives. Whereas with Michael, because he was on the flight, he couldn't even go by his real name once he was allowed to leave, which is weird because Walt is definitely still going by Walt. He didn't change his first name.
Huh.
But I'm sure that will never be explained because I've already seen season 5 and that is kind of irrelevant. I just thought it was a little interesting tidbit that it's like, oh yeah, Desmond disappeared for however many years he disappeared. And it's like, no one was like concerned that he was dead or something. And he can just go about his life and keep using his name.
You found that finally in season 4 of Lost, the writers started to lose a thread or two.
Just one or two.
Yeah.
But even though these events do not happen in order, this leads to the Oceanic 6 press conference. And, once Penny saves them, Jack is kind of like, we need to talk. So I imagine, since we didn't see or hear that conversation, that Jack was kind of like, you can't tell anyone about us. It's like, take Desmond and Levitis and we are going to concoct this entire plan to make it to this other island and then be essentially rescued from there. And we see them all lined up at the press conference. Kate has to lie about Aaron. You have everyone lying about everything. And as we know with lies, a lot of people aren't able to keep them up and everything unravels. Big foreshadowing for season 5.
Yeah.
I can't remember if this is a thing in season 4 or in season 5. In my memory, at the press conference, they're just like, why is Kate allowed to be free? Wasn't she a prisoner going into this? Is that a thing?
Kate's trial did happen this season. She was charged with fraud, arson, assault on a federal officer, assault with a deadly weapon, grand larceny, grand theft auto, and murder in the first degree.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Exactly.
I love that Nick is here because I get the best return on investment on my jokes when Nick is around.
So then we have that whole awkward scene too, where Jack is testifying on her behalf. And in the middle of it, she's just like, nope, we're not doing this.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with all of that.
The future storylines for Jack and Kate in particular are just so cringeworthy.
So bad.
I don't know. I think something is hard for me to it's hard for me to relate with, like, them coming back and still, like, even I guess she was like on trial for murder at one point, but even when she comes back, I'm like, would they really go through with this? Like, it's such a big different thing that these little things don't make sense to me. Why the world is so invested in it, not like just focusing on that they're back a dinosaur story. I know it's We're Back. Don't tweet me. Yeah, I don't know. The trial stuff is not my favorite.
I think of the future storylines, I find Sun and Saeed to be the most compelling.
Yep.
The first Hurley episode is great, though, with the police chase.
Hurley's
Yeah.
always enjoyable, but sometimes, like, some of his story doesn't really seem to be of consequence necessarily. Like, we do see him when he's in the mental hospital again and he plays, like, horse with Jack or something in the gym. And it's just like, okay, Hurley's here because Jack needs to talk to him. But, like, Sun and Saeed are actually out doing things. So it feels like it is more crucial to their storyline than Hurley kind of just returning to a place we've already seen him before.
I agree that it's not crucial, but I still like it.
Yes.
Like, it's the same. It's like the reason I like Rose and Bernard. Like,
right.
He is like, why would I make my life worse considering all of this all of the time when I'm having such a hard time already? can't I just enjoy that I'm not dead or trapped on this nonsense island anymore?
Yeah. I think the last thing I have is that I really enjoyed Sun taking over as a majority shareholder or whatever in her father's business, and then also confronting Charles Widmore this season.
Ooh.
It was so
Forgot
good.
about that.
Sorry, I'm like hung up. Like I've been thinking about the trial this whole time. And like, sorry, a thing that is fucking wild to me is that Jack gets up there and he's like, Kate brought all of the survivors to shore and she treated everybody with first aid and she's the one who like made sure they survived. And I was like, hold on, you're telling me that you think that this entire courtroom is going to believe that it was not the doctor that gave everybody like medical care, that it was Kate?
Becky, may I remind you that she gave Jack stitches?
She did.
She gave him once.
She did a great job.
It was fine.
But yeah, Becky, I get what you're saying, because it's like that was an unnecessary lie that had nothing to do with anything. He just wanted to lie to make her look better for her trial.
Yeah, because they're trying to make this into this, like, it's not about what she's done. It's like who she is. And like, she's refusing to like involve Aaron, which like good for her. Like, don't use your children your fake children to make yourself look better. But like, that's a bit of a stretch. Like, oh yeah, like the doctor was no fucking help, but you know who was? This girl. What is her job?
You've got to do character witness type stuff, because I mean, ultimately, what her crimes stem from is killing her abusive stepfather, and like, ultimately, you gotta build the case that she is the good one in all this. Right?
You can do that without saying that with a doctor present, she took care of every single part. Like,
there was a lot of people hurt. I think you could maybe buy that he deputized somebody as a nurse or something.
Well, no, because they were saying that like only like
there were only 8 of them.
Only 8 of them survived the crash,
and then 2 didn't make it.
You're right, bad show.
Throw it all out. Horrible.
No, I think that this show is great. This show is one of my favorite television shows of all time. But you can be critical of things that you like.
No, I'm joking.
I'm not.
No, Becky, I get where you're coming from, though. And I do have to mention that there was a Shining reference this season. That's all I put down in the notes, so I don't know where it happened, but I remember.
I was actually wondering the same thing.
I think it was something about kind of getting cabin fever like Jack Torrance does in The Shining.
Oh, yeah. During the episode that I think it's called Cabin Fever.
Is it that? Because I don't know if that's something that people would actually like understand. That's kind of like an obscure thing to mention.
Is it obscure?
Wait. No, I feel like, especially with this show, I feel like there's so many.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
At any point, did all work and no play make Jack a dull boy?
Jack?
All work and no play always makes Jack a dull boy.
Jack Shepherd?
Who knows? All the Jacks. It applies to every single Jack in TV and books.
Was it that Shelley Duvall was treated poorly on the set of The Shining and everybody's being mean to my friend Kate Austen? Is that the connection you're making?
You know, I think they might be a little different, Nick.
Okay.
Yeah, they're wildly different. Gee whiz. Gee willikers.
Well, let's end the podcast on that note. Gee willikers. Oh, no. Thank you, Becky.
Good.
But thank you all for joining me again to talk about season 4. We have 2 more episodes left. It has been quite a ride, and oh boy, is there more to come.
And you haven't even gotten to season 6.
Woo, 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 like I'm sounding an alarm, but that was a bad alarm. And Meet Kevin Johnson, the guy tells Michael that he's acting like Nicholson, The actor that played Jack Torrance in the movie adaptation of King's The Shining, since Michael is bouncing a ball against the wall as if he had cabin fever.
Yes, I totally forgot about that. Damn it, that's so good too.
I told you guys cabin fever.
Yeah, but you
I
you
just
didn't
did a-
mention any balls
I did a
bouncing.
very poor job of explaining it.
Oh, he was bouncing a ball. Now I get it.
Yeah. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, Google. This podcast is sponsored by Google.
I look forward to our season 5 and season 6 discussions that are to come.
I can't wait to talk about season 6.
I will definitely have season 6 watched by the time everyone is listening to this.
Me too.
For sure. I will try to.
I'm not watching that again.
Makes like I can't do this again. All right, everyone, that does it for this episode of Welcome to Geekdom. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so through our Patreon. You can sign up for $1 a month. That'll get you a thank you on the show. $2 a month, you get to pick a topic that myself and a guest will discuss on the show. For $5 a month, you can join the Welcome to Geekdom Slack group, where you can talk to myself and various guests who have been on the show. If you want to follow us on socials, you can do so at GeekdomPod on Twitter and at Welcome to Geekdom on Instagram and Facebook. And as always, thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.